So a few words to CI Hub. The CI Hub connector was initially developed to provide in-app access to digital assets, and the DAM therefore plays a central role and must bring in the single source of truth principle to life. But the asset lifecycle, as you all might know, very often starts with different storages, different providers. Asset services came along, and now work management is very tightly embedded in the creative processes, productions, and into the rollouts. And that's why we talk about digital asset ecosystems. Now, the number of systems in use has increased, and the number of applications in which digital assets are processed are also changed. And there are the Adobe Creative Cloud apps like InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator for print. And with social media, the applications like After Effects and Premiere Pro have been brought into focus. And with the translation workflow, Adobe InCopy gained really huge importance. And these plugins we've built are really a big hit currently. And then we've built the add-ins for Microsoft Office 365. What would be a damn worth if the sales department or the category managers couldn't access digital assets. And we're talking about the low resolution ones optimized for their applications. Okay, new participants. Yeah, and without having to master the interface of a DAM, so that's easy to use within their application. The same goes for the Google Workspace applications, the true cloud-only users, because no one wants to download images from the DAM and then push them back into the cloud. The only difference to the Office 365, they call it add-on. Microsoft Office call it add-in. And then the interface and web designers should be mentioned. So collaborative design was required, but without a direct access to a DAM system, a lot of time, energy, and consistency was wasted. But still, the corporate imagery was requested during the design and acceptance process. So now everything is doable with the CI Hub plugin for Figma and Sketch, connecting to CELUM systems or cloud storage systems. And at the very end of the process, there were the online editors and the website managers. So downloading assets from the DAM and uploading them back into the CMS. That's really a waste of resources. And it all had nothing to do with a single source of truth anymore. So we built the plugin for WordPress, and other CMS will follow in the nearer future. So digital content for every business unit, that was our goal, and to use the content with their preferred applications. And if we talk about access, so what does that mean? Access means you have access to multiple data domains. You have access to multiple user experiences and to multiple access points with all the credentials and all this stuff. And that's for DAM, for PIM, work management, or services like digital rights management, or cloud storages like Box or Dropbox, and of course, stock providers like Getty Images, Adobe Stock, or whatever comes up like Unsplash. And I think no creative is going to use a PIM system excessively, but in combination with the metadata of a DAM, it's really an efficient and effective solution, and that works with the CELUM system quite well. So you might see that in the demo later on. And in the opposite case, the category manager will prefer the PIM system, but the parallel access to the product images, that is something that makes really sense. So the CI Hub connector connects these data silos on demand, where access and use of source systems makes the most sense. That means within the application. That means in-app connectivity. And once the user has learned the CI Hub interface, he can make the optimal use of any system with this unified user experience and with just one single access point. So the software is really built for the people who work in their applications. So if you want to just take a look at the reviews, maybe on Adobe Exchange or on the OMR reviews, it's really cool to see how the people use the system and what they're doing with it, and the plugin works quite well. So this image illustrates the growing number of touch points during a project or a campaign. And it shows also the growing number of produced assets that are stored in the CELUM DAM for further use. And by digital assets, I don't just mean images. So there are templates, designs, graphics, icons, videos, or animations, text, and so on. So, and this is how the CI Hub connector combines all of this in just one interface with really amazing features. So it's quite simple. You're in your application and you access all parts of the communication stuff, work management, digital assets, the produced assets, and you get a full control over all placed items. And that means control over the source system, the resolution, replacements, versions, availability, file details, the deep links, and all this stuff. But I will show that later on in the live demo. So that's all at the moment from my side. So over to you, Melanie.
Thank you very much. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully that works. Yes, hello again from my side. For all of you who do not know CELUM, some words where we help our customers, but only really shortly. At any time of the customer journey, assets are needed. And CELUM content is the one central hub for all your content. You can manage the content in one unified platform and access it across all digital touch points. Our principle is that perfect product experiences are built with perfect product content. And CELUM helps you with the products you create, to manage and to route this content. And when it comes to create and route, we are directly within the field of the CELUM marketplace and also directly in the partnership with CI HUB. It gets more important to access the content in the workspace you are familiar with. And CI HUB has turned out to be a perfect partner here for integrating with our solutions, and especially the integrations into the whole Adobe Creative Cloud and also the Microsoft Office suite are extremely important for us. Maybe we also getting into other systems that CI HUB offers, but at the moment, these are our main systems. And the benefits for our users are apparent. You can access the assets you have permissions to within the product you're currently working. You can easily check for updates, download drafts, upload assets and documents, check for relations, version your results, and have only one valid version of your files available at CELUM content. There is many more, and Gerd will show you that later. So we have worked on the product lately. We are never stopping working together with the partner, and we have new features we want to show you today. The first one simplifies the user journey. Instead of uploading and relinking separately, you can now save a lot of time via uploading and relinking local assets in one step. Another very important feature has been requested very often by our customers. That's kind of a duplicate check. If you're placing a local asset that is renamed in your InDesign file and want to upload that one to CELUM, the automation will find the duplicate on the asset on the server with the checksum and asks you to relink with this asset. So you don't have to upload the second asset and have a duplicate on the server. Another thing is that our customers can individualize a lot on the CELUM systems, and even the file names for downloading can be changed. And if you're working with the file name resolver on the download formats, you can now do that also with CI HUB. And you see that in the picture. The file which is used is called differently here, and we have a download format placed. That's called obviously file name resolver, but the asset is now saved locally with the asset ID, and that can be changed very individually. Another new feature is one for the user journey, and that's sorting. You can now sort assets according to the name or the asset ID, which is called foreign key in CI HUB. By default, all the assets are sorted modified by the modified column in descending order. And last but not least, some new features around notifications in the user interface. If you have forgotten to upload your local asset adjustments to CELUM, you will now get a conflict notification within CI HUB in the panel in the process of relinking. You have also now the possibility, and that is one thing a lot of customers requested, and I'm also using very hardly, to scale the user interface within the CI HUB panel. And other features that might be known but not are kind of there lately are the saving of conversion settings when placing assets via drag and drop, the saving of connections when you have all your connections in place in the Adobe Suite. You can also use them in the Office Suite, and also enabling of the same file names. So a lot of theory, but enough of that. I'm handing over to Gerd again, and he will give you a demo, show you the new features live, and afterwards also 1 or 2 features will be shown by me.
Thank you very much, Melanie. So I'm trying to take over the screen right now. I think you can see my InDesign. Correct, Melanie?
Yes.
Can you see it? Okay, cool. So first of all, I'm going to start with the panel. It's quite easy to install from the Adobe Exchange Cloud. I think the most of you might know how it is working. So I'm currently connected to the CELUM systems and in parallel with some cloud storage systems. And what Melanie showed is the settings of the UI. So that's really a cool feature. You can now scale the UI of the panel in 1% steps or by typing in percentage. And as you can see, it works quite good. So you have the icons and all the labels in a bit more a larger typeface. So it's quite easy to handle that. So the switching between the systems, quite easy goes here. You can switch between Box, Dropbox, cloud storage systems, or in this case, I've checked the CELUM system. We have different views in here. We have the tile view, we have the list view, and you can, in the list view now, add something which is called the foreign key, and that's what Melanie mentioned in the overview, and you can sort ascending and descending for the foreign key. And of course, you have a detailed view of each asset coming up with all the basic informations around metadata fields, but also the custom metadata fields, which is really a cool feature within the CELUM DAM, but I will show later on how that works. So let's get into business, I'm going to open a InDesign document from the CELUM DAM right now. Here we go. As you can see, we have a thumbnail preview, so you can always see what's in the document without opening it. And I'm going to fill this InDesign document with some images. So I'm going back to my folder. My images are stored. Placing images, quite easy. You can do a setup first. So you can say, okay, I want to use the original files. I want to use renditions, JPEGs, or TIFF as original. So it's quite easy to manage the amount of data you're working with. If you want to have low-res files, you can use the JPEGs, and you can replace them later on with the check panel. I'm going to show you how that works. So you can use low renditions and later replace them with the original files. Placing images, quite simple. Just select an image and drag and drop it to the document and click on the target frame. So I'm going to fill this quite quick in here to see how that works. So simple placing feature. If you want to replace images, you can select an image and you can say, okay, I want to replace this one, or I want to replace all images that are called logo placeholder. So if I click on replace all, as you might have seen, that has been replaced, this one here, and on page 2, it's also replaced. So you can easily replace logos or icons or whatever. And also works with native Illustrator files. So by just moving them towards the stage and clicking the target frame, that's all you have to do. Cool feature is if you take a look at the custom metadata, that's really cool. You can directly use them in the template by just drag and drop them into a target frame. And if your InDesign, and if your InDesign document is perfectly prepared, the formatting is also done automatically. It's quite easy to do that. Let's switch over to page 2. And yeah, here you can do same stuff, just drag and drop them into the frames. And you can also use a full text search. If you're searching for city lights, you find those images and you can also place them. Another really cool feature regarding metadata is if you switch over to the content language, you can switch to, let's say, German. And you get all the information that is connected to this asset, another language, and you can work with them in the same way. Just drag and drop them into a target frame. And we have page 2 in German. Another feature we have in here is you can work with snippets. So with predefined layout components. So we have page 2. This is the German one. So if you have legal text or other components that have standard stuff, just drag and drop them and place them wherever you want. And they are predefined and they are, of course, editable if you make them editable. So really cool feature. Let's switch over to page 1 and add the English version over here. As you can see, works quite good. So when our job is done, I want to check where are my assets from. And in this case, I'm using the check panel. This might be similar to the links panel, but it contains much more information regarding assets. And I have the first row over here. This is the bulk operation row, so I can check the status for these files that I have currently used. I can have some details in it where they are used on page 2 and on page 1 twice. And yeah, so the little symbol over here, the plus symbol, means you can add those images to your CELUM system. In this case, I have an image that's embedded, and this little icon shows you that this is an embedded image. So it's embedded in the InDesign document on page 2. I'm going to jump to it. So this is the background, and you can easily click the Add button. And a cool feature is you can use this checkbox, and that means the file will be uploaded to the CELUM system, and it will be automatically relinked to the document. That's a really cool feature. I will do that right now. So I'm uploading that embedded image into the CELUM system in the backend. And the same is the second image I have here is this beach scene. I hope that my internet connection is stable. And this is also the background image over here. So I will add this one too, because this is stored locally on my desktop, but I want to move that image into the CELUM system. So just click on the Add File button and it will be uploaded and automatically relinked. Okay. So that's done. Let's check it again. And you can see they were uploaded over here. As you can see, these are the images. I've just uploaded them to the CELUM system without any manual stuff. So that's really, really, really cool. And our job is done, and we can save the document, and maybe we can upload the document to the system. And someone says, okay, I don't want to have that aircraft on the title page. So what happens if we are in Photoshop? Let's do a little refresh to the system and have a look what's new in here. So as you can see, this is the image I've just uploaded. I can open it in Photoshop from the CELUM system directly, and I'm going to replace the background. So I'm going to delete this aircraft in here. I'm going to reduce it. And what I can do now is I can create a version, a new version, by clicking this file, this icon, update file, from the active Photoshop document, and click on that. So that creates a new version in the CELUM system from within Photoshop. So I never leave my application. That could all be organized from within your application. Let's do a little refresh and you can see this is the new version. If I do a double click on it, I can see this is version 2 of 2 as an admin, or if I have the rights to do that, I can jump back to the former version, but let's stick to the latest version. So what happens in InDesign, if I do a check again, you can see that there is a little warning symbol coming up, and that means that there is a newer file available. If I want to have some details in it, you can see there are 2 versions now available. This one is currently checked, but as I can see in the timestamp, this is the older version, so I want to have the new version. Just do a relink from the CELUM system. And as you can see, the file is currently updated. So works perfectly. You have a full control over all those versions. You never miss anything. That's really cool feature. So this is what CELUM and CI HUB is doing in the standard workflow, but there are some other things which you can do in the CELUM system. And often there are requirements regarding automation. Automation is really doable with the CELUM system combined with the CI HUB connector if you use the full potential of the InDesign application. That means there is something in it called data merge, and that works quite well with variables. And there is also a cool feature in InDesign which is called grep styles. If you are familiar with this tool, grep styles, it's really handy stuff to automate stuff and to pre-format the whole stuff. So what CI HUB is able to do is we can select assets, do a multiple selection. I'm going to sort them by file name. You can do a multiple selection of assets by just clicking the Shift button, and you can export these assets or these files as a CSV file. That means all the information regarding images, you can use the images for download, and you can use the CSV export. This is always corresponding to the content language you've just selected. So if you select the English one and you have the export, you are exporting the English text metadata fields, quite easy. So I will do that in a second, and that's all what I've done. And this is the CSV file that's currently exported. So what can we do with this CSV file? Quite easy. You can just connect it to the data merge. You select a source, and you just select the CSV file we've just exported, and you can do a preview. So this is what comes up at the end. You can see that the image, the text, the headlines, pricing, the item numbers, everything is perfectly formatted, and that's done automatically. You can walk through those items I've just downloaded in the CSV file. So it's really cool stuff. Everything is dynamic. You see it shrinks or it increases the width of those backgrounds. And that's really done with standard features in Adobe InDesign. There's no additional plugin except the CI HUB plugin. And it's working with all the files coming out of the CELUM system. So it's really cool if you want to pre-sample products and do a design later on. But what you can also do is opening another file. Let's say we take this one. Yep. Let's open this document. So we have the same stuff in here. This is something I've built with grep style. These are all the variables that are connected in data merge. You can just drag and drop them onto a target frame, and they are working perfectly. So same stuff. If you look at the preview, you see one single asset, and you can walk through and have a look at all of them. But if you want to have all of them placed perfectly, you can use the create merge document. That means it works with multiple records, and you can have a preview with multiple records. So as you can see, it renders it perfectly. If you're okay with a preview, you click on OK. It takes a few seconds. you get a message that no overtext was generated because I can make all those frames dynamic in InDesign, so they can shrink or grow, as you can see here. And yeah, we've created just 2 pages with all the products in it, and everything's perfectly formatted. So if you want to replace the mood images or the headlines or whatever, so I think it's really a great time saver for collecting product information. And the cool thing is everything is structured. Everything is working with paragraph style. So if you have to change maybe the color of the headlines or the color of the price tags or whatever, it's just one click and everything is done, because everything comes out in a structured way from the CELUM LAMP into the InDesign. And if you say, okay, I want to have this content in a new layout, that doesn't matter. It's the same stuff as you can see here, another layout. But if you do a create merge document with the same export, you can see that it puts all the information in another layout, but the content is still the same. Updating CSV files, quite simple. If someone has made some changes in the metadata fields, just do a refresh, and the files will be updated. Really cool if you are working with those files. And if we talk about language, it's the same stuff. You can use another export by switching the content language space. And if you do a preview for merge documents, you see that we have the German metadata fields and the text is in German. Everything works perfectly. So you can switch between languages and generate the whole stuff automatically. So that's something about if you want to gather products on a page to hand them over to the designer, and he's doing the rest of the stuff. But there are some other features in it. If you think about creating multiple formats for social media or whatever, banners for the web, it's also doable. So I've prepared a InDesign document which contains some different formats. We have 200 pixel, 200, 250, a square one, a large rectangle, a banner, leaderboard, and all this stuff. So that's really just an InDesign template, which you can see here, an InDesign document, everything in standard. There's no plugin used, and it's just an empty file with some standards in it. So let's see what happens if we connect this export to these files. Let's have a short preview. You can see everything comes in, and you can click through, and you can see that it works in every single format. So if you're doing ads, for example, and you have different formats for ads, just fill the content once and everything is perfectly formatted and in place. So we can do it with a single product, but you can do it with all products. So I have prepared those 12 hotels currently, and I want to do an export 12 products with, I think it's 7 or 8 templates. That means create 90 print ready or PDF ready files. It's quite easy and it just takes seconds. So if we do a merge document with all records, and I'm clicking on OK, So this will take a few seconds, but it merges the whole export into the various formats of these InDesign documents. Now it's looking for overtext. That's it. So we've just created, I will show that to you. We've just created 90 different formats. Each one contains the content of the CSV file, the images, and everything is perfectly linked. So if I click on one of those, you can see everything is in it. Here we go, different formats, different sizes, different products. So that's something that's really helpful to generate the basic stuff. If you're talking about creating ads in different formats, or if you're talking about social media postings or banners or whatever, you may say this is static in one way, yes, but if you're working with, let's say, Adobe After Effects to animate this stuff, that's quite easy to use it. Just save it as a PDF and save it as an Illustrator file, and you can use the whole stuff in Adobe After Effects. That works like a template in After Effects. You can animate layers. You can add movies or animations into that. And you do that once, and every file is generated automatically. I've done a video. This is on our website available, how that works for animations. But this is the basic stuff you currently do when you try to gather or to pre-sample products and product informations. So are there any questions regarding InDesign, CI HUB, CELUM?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Gerd. That was really very impressive. And as I shortly mentioned before, I want to show two of the features we also discussed before. I've not that fancy files prepared like you, but just to show the feature, there should be enough. I have one InDesign site page here with a lot of different assets, and now I'm placing locally. I'm placing a picture here, and as you see here, this asset has been placed before. What's the use case behind it? Maybe there are assets in the document, and I have saved some assets locally, renamed them. For example, that happens quite often in a company, that the logo might have 20 different names on 20 different systems. I'm using this asset now, and the system sees, okay, there is this asset fancy bedroom, and there is the asset above. These two assets have nothing in common. But when I make the status check here, it tells me here that it has found a match for this fancy bedroom asset. With the checksum on the CELUM system, it has found the asset. And when I'm doing the relinking here, let's say with the original, it relinked both of the assets to this one. That's the one that has been uploaded to CELUM, and now I see this asset is there 2 times. So when I'm uploading that document now, I will not get any duplicates anymore with the 2 assets. That's the one feature we wanted to show you. And a second one is the one with the file name resolver. I talked before, when I'm placing an asset here, like Gerd showed before, we have a lot of different download formats that are available for the system. These download formats, this has to be configured with which download formats are available, and also the user has to have permissions to the download formats. In this case, I want to say I want to place this asset with a download format that has a format resolver behind. And when I'm placing that asset, you see it's saved local with the name of the asset ID, because that is what is here saved with the download format resolver. And I also see here that asset that has been placed. It says none of the matching assets have this name, but it finds the asset on the CELUM system because it has been placed from there with the asset ID. So I know that there has been a match with the asset ID that's called remote ID here, and it finds the right name on the CELUM server, but I can work locally with my renamed asset. The use case behind that is maybe for some external systems like PIM systems, the asset, that the product number has to be saved out in a structured way on the asset, for example. That's the two things I wanted to show. Yes, and also from my side, now the question, are there any questions? There has been a question from Damien. I tried to answer that during the session. CI Hub is started within the tool where you are currently working and not from CELUM, because the thing behind is that you don't have to leave the native application you are used to work with.
Yeah, and there was another question from Anna. She asks about the assets that have been locally stored. Yeah, that's necessary because InDesign is working that way. It can't handle HTTP links. That doesn't work with InDesign or any other application within the Adobe environment. So, but you can, at the end, you can get rid of these files, just delete them, because everything is always connected to the source system, and in this case, to CELUM. So you can delete them, that doesn't matter. If you open the file again, you will see the previews in the document. If you want to do a high-res output, just click the relink button and it gives you all the high-res files temporarily needed for this output. And after the PDF production or the print production files are done, you just can get rid of them. You don't need to store them forever.
What we also have are some customers that are working with a shared network server where they're placing this local assets. But like you said before, you don't need that assets at the end. You can work with the low-res files for production, then replace them with the high-res files when you're sending the whole thing for printing, and then deleting all the assets that have been saved locally.
Exactly.
Yes.
Can I ask a question out loud?
Yeah, yes, sure.
For sure.
Yeah, great. Instead of writing. Yeah, my name is Monica, working for Alfa Laval. We are not working with the CI Hub and neither with InDesign connector today. But I saw when you are uploading, when you have an image locally and you upload it to CELUM, when do you add all the metadata on the image? Is that done afterwards, or what happens?
That is something that is normally done afterwards.
So it's a manual work I need to do afterwards then?
Yes.
Okay. About the renaming, what was it named? The
file name resolver.
File name resolver. Did you show it, or maybe I missed it?
I showed it at the end.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, then I missed it.
Normally, the file name resolvers are directly connected with the download formats. And when you activate the download format for the user and activate it for CI Hub, all the files that are downloaded with this download format are downloaded in the way that it's defined within the file name resolver. And this file name resolver can be defined very individually. You can say you want specific metadata within the file name, like product ID or something like that.
Yeah. We have a certain naming structure rules.
Yes.
So okay.
I know that
I have to look
customers like to use that. I can also show that to you in a.
I can have a look at the recorded webinar. Sorry, I missed that part.
The whole webinar will be placed online, and also the features we showed you today, they will be released in some days. We are currently within the stage of final testing, and then there will be a release with the new features.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So any other questions? Don't be shy.
There has been a question asked to me if the final creations can be directly saved within CELUM. Yes, for sure. All the InDesign files can be saved to CELUM, even with PDF presets that can be defined. You don't have to upload the whole PDF document extra. You get a preview of the PDF of the InDesign file in form of a PDF document, and all the asset relations. So all the assets that are used within the InDesign file are there. The relinked asset that Gerd showed you before are there as asset relations and can be seen. So you can see directly within CELUM what assets are used in the system.
So I can show that just for a second. If I want to upload a created document, you just go to the panel. You click the Add File button, and you can say, okay, I want to upload this actual InDesign document. If I have open more, I can choose the one I would like to open. I can change the file name over here. And I can say, okay, please add a PDF. And you can choose between PDF options that are the job options you have created. So if it's a high res or a low res or whatever, if you're working with ICC profiles, you can use them to create the file that works within the panel, and the source is the storage of your job options. So you can use these ones, and you can create an InDesign package also. And you can create a PNG of the first page of the document to have a preview image for the InDesign package. So that's easy to do. So if I want to upload that, just click on the OK button and it will be uploaded. You see the spinning wheel. So everything is gathered, the PDF is produced, and you see the upload is currently in progress for both files, for the InDesign document and for the produced PDF file. And of course, that'll take a while, but at the end, you will have everything in place. So here we go. This is the file. I've just changed the name. This is the print ready InDesign file, and we have the PDF over here. Just do a refresh for the preview, and that's it.
And also the preview, that's a specialty of the CELUM system, because the preview of the InDesign file is also a PDF, and some of our customers use even this PDF preview of the InDesign file for further extractions of this file, for further processes, printing process or something like that.
Oh,
you
cool.
do not even have to upload a separate PDF.
Okay. Yeah, so that's working directly in the panel. And if you, yeah, there are no more questions.
There was another question to me. It's possible to save various formats, print and online. With saving, when it's meant that the saving of the definition of the PDF standard, yes, that's possible. You can define in what standard you want to upload the InDesign file or the PDFs, like Gerd showed, and yes, you can upload it also in various formats. That's not a problem. And with different namings, and you can not only just upload the whole document, but also upload a new version of the document, so that also maybe another person can work on the file.
I'm stealing some more time. I have to see we have some more minutes. Can you show something in PowerPoint, how you're working? In that?
I can show something in PowerPoint, of course. Give me just a second to connect and open my PowerPoint. I can do that.
I can see a struggle in our companies, the images with people where we have GDPR consent, and where it's very easily that they're creating their presentation using perhaps with an image where people are, and then they are distributing the PowerPoint to somebody else, and then you don't know where it's used, and you cannot really, if somebody's withdrawn their consent, you understand.
I got it. I've heard about these problems.
You have
before. yeah. So so I have to share my screen, otherwise it won't work. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite easy because we have a process within CELUM, but it's when you have downloaded it and used it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So I think you can see my screen.
Yes.
Simple PowerPoint, which was stored in the CELUM DAM. You can just open it from the CELUM DAM, so that's quite easy. I have a folder. Yeah. So this is the file I've just opened. So if you're working with templates or something like that in PowerPoint, or if you just want to place images the same way, just go to the panel. It looks the same as it looks in InDesign, as it looks in every application. And cool thing is, if you're starting placing images, you can do your setup, because I don't want to have the original files in my presentation. Let's say I want to use a JPEG or a JPEG in RGB or whatever rendition is opened for your account, because as far as I've heard, that's very granular, so you can have access to conversions or renditions based on a user. Correct, Melanie?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
So I'm just saying, okay, let's use the JPEGs instead of the original, and you just move them towards the stage. The rendition is generated and the files will be placed. That's how it goes. It's quite simple. That's how it goes. And if you want to add some metadata, it's the same stuff. You just switch to the custom metadata content. You click some there and then you move them in. Okay, that's not what I want to do. You just click and move them. Use the year or whatever product ID or whatever content is in here. Just drag and drop it into the frames. So that's how it works. And of course, you have the full text search and all this other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have the links right to the image, and we can see who is using it.
That's one thing that is not possible within the Office suite. We are wishing for that feature, but that is something that is missing in the Office suite, because the API of Microsoft doesn't allow that. Within the API of Microsoft, you cannot save what assets are used, and you cannot save this asset information on the assets, and therefore it's quite difficult to find that assets again on the CELUM system. We know that's a feature that is heavily requested by the users. We are also currently talking to Microsoft if there is the possibility to solve that otherwise, but in this case, I have to say these asset relations that are possible from the InDesign, for example, where you really see in the InDesign file what assets are used with the GDPR topic. That is currently not possible in the Office suite, but that depends on the API of Microsoft here.
Okay, I understand. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, we are quite in time, as I see.
Yep.
Gerd, I think it would be a good time to stop here. If anybody has some further questions, please do not hesitate to contact us directly. We will answer all your questions. We can also do an individual session for showing the connector or for answering questions. And yes, thank you very much from my side, Gerd. It was very impressive what you showed us. Very much possible here, and we're looking forward to work on new features together.
All right. That will be great.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Melanie.
Bye-bye.
I
Bye.
don't want to miss
Bye.
the day.